Jake rolled over with a groan as his alarm blared at 6 a.m. Another long day at the office awaited, and he was already dreading it. As he brushed his teeth in the bathroom, he caught sight of his worn appearance in the mirror. Dark circles hung heavy under his eyes from countless late nights and endless stress. Lately Jake had been plagued by fitful sleep, constantly waking with a strange sense that someone was hovering near. But every time he flipped on the bedside light, of course there was nothing. Still, as the days dragged on, the invisible watcher felt closer, its presence lingering at the edge of consciousness where dreams fade into reality. Shaking off the lingering paranoia, Jake dressed for work and trudged downstairs to make coffee. His fiancée Sarah had already left for her morning shift at the hospital. The empty brownstone felt lonelier than usual in the grey dawn light. As Jake scrolled through emails on his laptop, sipping the bitter brew, a sharp prickle shot up his neck, that unmistakable instinct that eyes were on him once more. With a brisk exhale, Jake spun around, but as always, the living room stood deserted. He was letting his imagination get the better of him. Still, as the morning wore on, shadows seemed deeper, sounds slightly off-kilter like a poorly tuned radio. Jake hurried off to the office, eager to escape the strange aura that had fallen over his home. 12 grueling hours passed in a haze of meetings, calls, and paperwork. By the time Jake collapsed into bed, exhaustion had banished all other thought. Sleep dragged him under instantly like quicksand. His eyes opened to blackness. It took several disoriented moments for Jake to register this wasn't a dream. The apartment was completely dark. Rolling over with a groan, he fumbled blindly for the bedside clock. 1:37 a.m. blinked dimly in green numbers. Another absurd wake disrupted by vague instinctive panic. Breath misting before him, Jake reached for the lamp. His blood turned to slushy ice water. There, perched motionlessly at the foot of the bed, lit only by spectral moonlight, was a hunched dark figure. Its face was shadowed beneath a hood, but Jake knew without doubt those invisible eyes had been watching all along, and they were watching him, now. Raw reflexive terror surged Jake into motion. He bolted from the bedroom, slipping and careening down the dark stairs 2 at a time, catching himself on the banister with a jolt that shot pain up his arm. Heart hammering a deafening rhythm, Jake scrambled blindly for his phone, punching Sarah's number with shaking fingers. She picked up blearily on the 3rd ring. "Jake? What's wrong?" Still struggling to catch his breath, Jake blurted, "There's something in the house. It was in our bedroom, watching me." A heavy pause. "Honey, there's no one there. You've just been working too hard. Get some rest." The line clicked dead before Jake could protest. Sarah clearly thought his sleep deprivation had gotten the better of rational thought. But Jake knew what he'd seen, and the malevolent presence he'd sensed for days now was very, very real. A boards creaked softly upstairs, sending fresh adrenaline pulsing through Jake's veins. He couldn't stay here another moment. Grabbing keys and wallet, Jake bolted into the night. The next few days passed in a grey haze. Jake stayed at a friend's apartment, sneaking back to the empty brownstone only to pack necessities. Sarah remained skeptical, worried he was losing his grip, try as he did to reassure her. But on the 3rd night, alone in the spare bedroom, a shadow shifted at the periphery of vision. Jake's breath locked in his throat as he slowly turned. There at the foot of the bed, same as before, crouched the hooded figure. Only this time its face was no longer obscured. Instead, 2 empty dark holes regarded him from a pallid, featureless plane where facial features should be. A low staticky whisper emanated from somewhere in the void, "You can't escape me." Jake bolted upright with a panicked gasp, clutching sweat-drenched sheets in white-knuckled fists. The room stood empty, of course. But whatever malevolent presence had been haunting him these past weeks had followed, and made itself known in no uncertain terms. Jake knew with chilling certainty he was being stalked by something beyond rational explanation or help. That night, Jake sat Sarah down with shaking hands, and told her everything, the dark presence lurking at the edge of perception for days now, watching him constantly, tormenting his dreams. Her worried frown deepened in the lamplight, but to his relief, Sarah didn't dismiss him this time. Together they cleaned out the brownstone entirely, blessing every corner with incense and prayers. Weeks passed with no further incidents, and Jake began to hope they'd left the malevolent entity behind. But one night as they turned down their street, a darkness detached itself from between two trees up ahead. The hooded figure stood motionless at the curb, faceless holes regarding them from the shadows. Frozen by fear and disbelief, Jake and Sarah could only watch helplessly as it stretched spindly blackened fingers toward the car. Their headlights flickered, engine sputtering, before stalling out completely. Darkness swept over the vehicle, lit only by the street lamp's dim glow. Then two rolling white orbs materialized outside Sarah's window, regarding her silently. From that night on, wherever they went, the faceless hooded figure would be there, lurking at the edges of perception, tracking their every move, never letting Jake escape its eternal dark watch. His only solace lay in Sarah's presence beside him, but he knew this entity would stalk them relentlessly until it claimed their souls in the endless blackness.